Today we're going to do the warm up for the quiz, and the quiz is over working with radicals and rational exponents. The questions that I assigned are questions that are from your homeworks. So if you did your homework, then you should have an idea of how to work these problems. From homework day 9. Homework day 9, we learned how to rewrite with the exponent in mind, the index in mind. Thank you. So for question number 6, the index is 4. So we want to rewrite everything that we see with an exponent of 4. So if I look at 81 and I look down the column on my chart, is 81 in the x to the 4th column? Okay, how can we rewrite 81 so that it's something to the 4th power? Okay, 3 to the 4th power. Let's rewrite that. So we get 4, or the index of 4. So 3 to the 4th power. For the variables, I can rewrite x to the 12th power as x to the 4th power how many times? Yep. And then I have y, then instead of writing to the 8th power, I can write it to the 4th power how many times? 2. I keep trying to write what I'm saying. All right. Now that I've rewritten everything with the index in mind, the index is a 4. Anytime the index matches the exponent underneath the radical, we can mark out the exponent and rewrite things in the front. We will rewrite the x's as a group, and we will rewrite the y's as a group. And it looks like I'm going to be left with nothing underneath the radical. So the 3 comes out. The x comes out, and I have 3 of them. Y comes out, and I have 2 of them. That's it. For question 11, we would like to add or subtract like radicals. So to do that, we have to first simplify. Because they have to be exactly the same square root to be able to add or subtract them. You cannot add or subtract them the way that they are. I can do nothing with the square root of 2. The only thing that you can multiply to make 2 is 2 and 1 that are whole numbers. So since all of these are square roots, we're going to be looking down the x square column, and we're going to be looking for numbers. Well, first we could look for 8. Is 8 down that column? No. So then we want to look for something that can multiply to make 8. Is there something that can multiply to make 8? 4 and 2. All right, for 50, is 50 underneath the x squared column? No. Is there a number there that multiplies to make 50? 25. Yeah, so we could do 25 times 2. 4 is important because 4 can be rewritten as 2 squared. Times 2. And then 25 is important because 25 can rewrite as 5 squared. So all I did was rewrite the 4 and rewrite the 25 when I rewrote them. So now when I take a look, these are just like these. Anytime that you have a number that matches the index, and so in this case it's a 2, the 2 is going to come out. The 5 is going to come out, and so I can rewrite them. So this becomes 2 square root 2 plus 5 square root 2, and this just comes down. So now I have 3 things that all have square root 2, so they can all combine. Sometimes only 2 things combine, but in this case, they can all combine. How many is in front of the very first thing if there's no number there? It's a 1. So let's add these things together. I have 1, 2, 3. 3 plus 5 is 8. So this equals 8 square root 2. Once you reduce and you figure out what your radical is going to be, that doesn't change. That stays exactly the same. The only thing you add or subtract is the number in front. Okay, only the numbers in front add or subtract. Now we're going to start looking at homework from day 10. So from day 10, which one of these is easier? 12. 12 is easy, right? So to multiply, I'm going to get x, and then what do I do with these exponents? Add them. So when you add fractions, if the denominators are the same, in the answer, it will have the same denominator, and you will add the numbers in the numerator. So I have 1 and 3 makes 4. That's it. Don't miss that question. On the practice worksheet, I had you divide. So when you multiply, you add exponents. What do you do if you divide? Subtract. If there was a bonus question and it asked you to do that, I would try that because that's really simple. Okay, question number 6. We're going to go backwards. When you multiply, you have to multiply the stuff in front and the stuff inside. So the stuff in front, it's going to be 4 times 3. And then I've got all the stuff inside. Okay, 4 times 3 makes 12. And then I'm going to write everything underneath the radical will multiply. So I've got 5 times 25. Think about quarters. If you have 5 quarters, how much do you have? 125. When you multiply, you add exponents. So for the A's, I have 2 and 4, so I have 6. For the B's, I have 2 and 5, so that makes 7. For the C's, I don't have any over here. I have 1 over here, so it doesn't change. It stays as C to the 2nd power. For this one, from here, this is exactly the same stuff that I did here. I want to rewrite with the index in mind. This time, the index is a 3, so I want to rewrite things as having the 3rd power. So let's look down the column that has x to the 3rd power. Do you find 125? 5 to the 3rd power. So let's rewrite it. Okay, now for the A, B, and C, I want to rewrite them as having an exponent of 3. So instead of writing 6, I could write 3 and 3. So I'm going to have A to the 3rd power twice. Okay, for the 7, instead of writing 7, well, that makes 6, and I would have 1 left over. So I'm going to have B to the 3rd, B to the 3rd twice, and then I'm going to have B to the what left over? So that's 6, and then I have 1 left over, so it's B to the 1st power. And then C, I can't rewrite it as to the 3rd power, so it just has to stay C to the 2nd power. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to look and I'm going to see if any of the exponents match the index. And every time the exponent matches the index, it can rewrite out into the front. For this, for the A's, they're going to go out in the front as a group. The B's will go out in the front as a group. Anything that I'm leaving underneath the radical, I'm going to circle it. So I'm going to be left with a B and a C squared. When I rewrite the 5 in front, the 5 is going to multiply 12. What is 5 times 12? 60. And then I have A, and I have 2 of them in the group. I have B with 2 of them in the group. And then I'm going to write down what I have left. B, C to the 2nd power. anybody still copying these, or does anybody have a question? All right, let's keep going. This is from the day 11 homework. This is when we learn to solve with radicals and rational exponents. So for question number 1, expect a question like number 1 on your quiz. To be able to isolate this radical, we must first take care of plus 6. What's the inverse of plus 6? Minus 6. Yep, good job. Ten minus 6 is 4. From here, to get rid of a square root, we have to raise both sides to a power. That power has to match the index. Well, what is the index if it's not there? A 2. So there's a 2 here. So we have to raise it to the second power so that these match and they will cancel out. And I have to raise this to the same power. So on the left, that root canceled. So I'm left with x minus 4. 4 to the second power. You could use your chart if you wanted to, or you could use a calculator. What is 4 to the second power? 16. At this point, it is a one-step equation. How do I get rid of minus 4? Add. Yes, good question. If the index isn't there, it is automatically a 2. If you wanted to, you could check your answer. You could plug in 20. 20. Plug in here. 20 minus 4 is 16. The square root of 16 is 4. 4 plus 6 is 10. So if it's multiple choice, you can always plug in answer choices. All right, for this one, before I can even take care of the radical, I have to take care of plus 9. What's the inverse of plus 9? Minus 9, very good. So 14 minus 9, what's 14 minus 9? 5. And then I have the fourth root of y plus 2. All right, from here, to get rid of the fourth root, I have to raise both sides to the fourth power so that that will cancel. And I'm left with y plus 2 equals 5 to the fourth power. I have no idea what that is. Look on your chart under the x to the fourth column. Go down to 5. What is it? 625. It's a big number, but big numbers need love too. So sometimes answers are big. I'm almost done. Last thing I need to do is get rid of plus 2. What's the inverse of plus 2? Yep, minus 2. So y is equal to what's 625 minus 2? 623. Again, it's a big number, but that's okay. Big numbers need love too. The last problem. First thing that we got to do is get rid of this minus 2. So what's the inverse of minus 2? Plus 2. Ten plus 2 is 12. I'm pretty sure that your questions on your quiz just have like maybe one step before you have to raise everything to a power. So like this one, you had to add or subtract first. This one, I think that you also have a question that you're going to have to divide first, where they maybe don't ask you this first step of adding or subtracting, but you definitely want to check for numbers out in front. If you have a number out in front, what's the inverse of multiply by 4? Divide by 4. So let's bring that over. Divide by 4. Very good. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Very good. For this one, whether or not it is a root or a rational exponent, you undo it the same way. To undo this rational exponent, I have to raise both sides, but instead of the index, it's the denominator. So I'm going to raise both sides to whatever this denominator is. If it's a 4, well, then I raise both sides to a 4. A 7? Okay. So if I raise this to the 4th power, these cancel. So I'm left with on the left. Sorry, I don't know why it just did that. Okay, on the left, I have 3x plus 6 is equal to, what is 3 to the 4th power? You could use your chart. What? 81. From here, this is a 2-step equation. What do I take care of first? Subtract 6. Very good. 2-step equation. Why did I put a 2? I don't know. Subtract 6. So on the left, we have 3x is equal to, what's 81 minus 6? 75. My last step was the inverse of multiply by 3. Divide by 3. What's 75 divided by 3? 25. Beautiful. You guys are so smart. That's it. It is really easy.